Hello?
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 If you can hear this, it's not too late. I return to warn you. This is Time Pop, a podcast that discusses time travel and pop culture. There are spoilers. I've seen the future, and nothing is sacred to these folks. Your past, present, and future are sure to be ruined. Even if you could go back in time, as I have, you will never forget what you are about to hear. You've been warned. This is Time Pop.
Welcome, Scotonaut.
Why is my audio hold up?
What is my...
Oh, speaker, external headphones.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
There it is. We're back, boys and girls.
We like the cars that go boom. With Tigra and Bunny, and we like the boom.
Oh.
Check, check, check. Sibilance. Barbecue tongs and thongs. Particle accelerator.
Welcome, Chrononauts, as we guide you. Sorry, I'm trying to open up some stuff.
That was an unexciting opening. As we invite you to
The experience of time travel using pop culture as our 1979 penny. I did. We will be your constants. I am Des.
Oh boy, I'm Scott. And this is Time Pop, the British version.
So I'm gonna pick a bone with Scott right off the bat.
Okay.
Scott makes a good point. I believe him, but I'm still gonna use this public forum to shame him.
Oh wow. I'm excited. I don't know what I'm being shamed for.
You know what would have been more fun to talk about than this?
Film?
Joe Dirt 2.
This film was not great.
This is a terrible movie.
Oh, wait. We haven't even said what we're doing. We'll get into it, then we can tear it to shreds.
Oh my God. We watched the amazing movie, the 1980 PG 1 hour and 43 minute Christopher Reeve vehicle, Somewhere in Time. We got Jane Seymour, Christopher Plummer.
What could go wrong?
George Wendt, William H. Macy.
William H. Macy?
Yeah, he was one of the critics. Yeah, George Wendt and William H. Macy were in the little gathering at the very beginning.
Oh my God, I need to rewatch that. Okay.
Directed by Jeannot Swarek, who is like this was part of his 5-movie deal where he tried to become a film director. He has directed 150 TV shows. And thank God he's good at that.
Wow, Desmond, I didn't realize what else. The name sounded so fancy. I figured he did fantastic artistic films. And now I'm looking at some of the collection, and it lists Jaws 2, Somewhere in Time, Supergirl, and Santa Claus the movie as some of the films.
And then he directed what did he direct? Like he's still doing stuff. Like he directed a couple TV shows like a year ago.
The films that I just named are his biggest films.
Oh, those are like I said, he did a 5-film stint in the late 70s, early 80s, and then they were just like, why don't you go do TV? You're good at that.
To my credit, I have never seen this film. It has always been listed on all of these. Oh, this is a classic time travel film. This one they weren't making time travel films. Classic. And we always meant to do it. And then every now and then, Desmond and Ari and I, we would get around, we'd watch the trailer, and then we'd be like, let's just put that off for a while. It just looks, the trailer is just so cheeseball. It looks like you were walking into a Hallmark card.
It's just...
And it was worse than I thought. It was...
Just to say something positive up top, as with a lot of these terrible movies, the time travel is interesting. Like there's something there that could have been explored, but they use it as a way to just do a period piece and make a terrible movie. It's just a terrible...
Oh.
I mean... I think this is...
This is fun because it's a terrible movie, and it's not the terrible kind that Desmond likes. And I was watching this, and I knew you would not like it also. I was like, oh, he's not going to like this either.
It's like, this is a Hallmark movie.
It's a Hallmark movie.
Absolutely 1000% a Hallmark movie. There are people out there that like this is a 50 Cent romance novel, which it was a book,
Yep.
which got, well, I don't want to say, I don't know. I'll look it up here in a minute. And it's very interesting. There's actually, I'm going to take a deep dive here in a minute because the time travel book they talk about in this is a real time travel book that was published in the early 1900s.
Really?
And and it was people getting some ideas and thoughts and
About self-hypnosis for time travel?
no, more about it went into like deja vu type dreams, like how someone was starting to feel like dreams are just as much a vision of your past as is the vision of your future, and you tend to not notice the future telling portions of your dreams because you haven't lived it yet, so you just think it's nonsense, and then once you kind of go through it, you realize that your brain, which I have definitely, I've had some moments in time where like some of my deja vus, I know I dreamt.
Yeah, some of them are really strong.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, okay, I'm on the right path, or I dreamed this, or I've done this. Yeah. Little leaks in Scott's theory of time repeating itself. And before we get into the plot, I want to raise maybe a controversial thought about this film. And I want to raise this idea that comes across.
Are you going to say that it's good? Is that your controversial take?
No,
that it's a good movie?
And again, this film, we had to do this film eventually. We were hoping to get this for Valentine's Day. That didn't work out. This is a classic one we've never done, so we've done it. But I raised the question, is Christopher Reeve a bad actor? I think he is.
Absolutely.
After watching this film and like now like seeing how he acts in Superman and this, he's a bad actor. I've come to the I respect, big part of it. There's a lot of people that are bad actors. Keanu Reeves, bad actor, great actor, but bad actor, right?
Yeah. And they make their niche. Like, I think he's a great Superman. I think he does a good job there. He plays, Clark Kent. He's an amazing.
But everything he does in Superman, he's doing in this film. Like the way he smiles all the time, the way he's trying to like work his like bright blue-eyed schoolboy thing.
Is this between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3? It must be between 2 and 3.
Let me think. Film is 81, 82?
80.
Or 80. So I think it's between 1 and 2, right? Superman 1 is 77.
So he
Superman
filmed,
2 is like
1 and 2 were filmed like
maybe it's 81.
back to.
Oh, it's right in there. It's right in there with 2. A little bit before, a little bit after. Oh.
Okay, so it was within like somewhere in time, was probably dropped in February somewhere, and then Superman 2 was probably the summer blockbuster.
Yeah. Anyway, he might be a bad actor. Controversy, write us your letters, say your thoughts. He may be a bad actor. This is also not a great film.
Yeah.
It's such a minimal film too, like so little happens.
Oh, the script is 30 pages long.
Can we get into it?
Go for it.
Or do you have ideas you want to discuss?
No, I want to try to dig up this book I was talking about. So
okay.
So yeah.
Because this is easy. This guy is a screen playwright. It starts off, he just had some plays in college. It's 1972. He's talking to all these people. This old woman comes up to him, drops a pocket watch and says, "Come back to me," and walks away. And they're like, huh, that was weird. And they keep on going. 8 years later, he's got writer's block. He decides he's got to get out of town. He's broken up with his girlfriend. He goes for a drive. He randomly decides to go to the Grand Hotel. In the Grand Hotel, he's looking through historical things and he sees pictures of this old actress from 1912. And he gets so dumbfounded. And I thought he must have saw himself in the picture, but it's not. He just saw her and he's like, this person's so beautiful in this old painting that I need to study up on her, which maybe is romantic or maybe is just pretty out there to even just to take right there as the plot, right?
Yeah. And this is the writer took from his own experiences. Like he was at an old hotel and they had a bunch of old pictures and he started to
obsess.
I don't know. It doesn't get into that. Obviously he obsessed a little bit. I mean, he ended up writing a book that became a movie. So
yeah,
he certainly didn't let it go, but it's kind of interesting that this came from a man's, kind of thinking about doing this for real. And like he was in an old hotel too, where you could almost imagine the hotel being much different or not being much different 100 years ago.
Yeah, it hasn't changed that much since,
Yeah.
Nearly 100 years ago. So anyway, I mean, I don't know. He sees the photo and falls deeply in love. It's already hard enough to fall in love with someone at first sight, but just from a old photo or painting, he's got to research everything about this woman. And then from there, I believe, is that when
Then he goes to the professor, which I don't know what leads him to the professor.
Or is that after he visits the woman's like housekeeper? He goes to her house to find out about her. And then the woman like shows him that she had a music box that had a song that's also his favorite.
Yeah, I think she had. Did she have the Richard Collier's, which is Christopher Reeve, his name in the show? Did he see his play there?
No.
Or did he just hear the music that he loves? He heard the music.
He hears the music that he loves. He gets obsessed with her. He does all this research. He goes to her old house. There's like a caretaker there who like sees that he has the watch, and she's like, "How did you get that?" And then also he hears the music, her music box, which had his favorite song. So he's like, "Oh my God, I'm weirded out. Something wacky's going on here."
The most upsetting part of this movie is how untarnished that watch is.
That's true.
That watch should be, but again, this movie doesn't explore the fact that everything is happening all the time. So it doesn't explore the fact that this watch has been living in this loop for 1 billion years.
The watches should be getting really old because it just keeps looping around.
But even if a watch only lives through this one loop, she hands it to him.
It's still, yes, it's still like 100 years. Yeah.
It's a little worn.
It's a bit of a grandfather paradox.
Yeah.
Anyway, as one does, once you become obsessed with a painting and a woman, you decide to go to your old college professor to see if time travel is possible. Because you've fallen so in love with this photo. Now, when I read in Wikipedia, Des, it said that his college professor had written a time travel book. Did you pick up on that? I didn't pick up that his college professor wrote it. Okay. So his college professor, I guess he did physics or whatever, wrote a time. So he knew that his college professor dabbled in this concept.
Which this is based on the real book. An experiment in time. An experiment with time discusses two main topics. This book was written in 1934 by J.W. Dunn. Subjects precognitive dreams and time. The first half of the book describes a number of precognitive dreams, most of which Dunn himself had experienced. His key conclusion was that such precognitive visions foresee future personal experiences by the dreamer and not more general events. The second half develops a theory to try and explain them. Dunn's starting point is the observation that the moment of now is not described by science. Contemporary science describes physical time as a fourth dimension, and Dunn's argument led to an endless sequence of higher dimensions of time to measure our passage through the dimension below. Accompanying each level was a higher level of consciousness. At the end of the chain was a supreme ultimate observer.
Ooh. See, now we got something to chew on.
Yeah, we need to read this book.
Yeah.
We need to do an episode on
report.
this. We're going to make Ari do a book report.
So yeah, he goes to his college professor. He's like, "Yo, prof, hey, is time travel possible?" "Oh, you want to talk about that? Well, let me tell you, this one time I just decided to randomly brainwash, to hypnotize myself into believing it was the past. For a second, I looked up and it was, and then I came back. So yes, it is."
Yeah. And then he explains to Richard Collier, like, if I was to try it again, or if you were to try it again, like, get rid of everything that would remind you of now.
It needs to be in a space that is the same space that it was then, and nothing should be out of time. And you have to kind of hypnotize yourself. And if you fully commit, if you fully believe, you will wake up in that time.
It drives me. First of all, it drove me crazy that he left the tape recorder on the bed, because duh. Second, the light fixtures on above his bed. Like, oh.
I also have a hard time with hypnosis as a method of time travel.
What?
All that, because hypnosis, you are working within your brain and your subconscious. So all that convinces me is you are convincing your brain in a dream that you are in a different time. Why are you moving a body through space when all you're doing is hypnotizing your own brain? It seems like at best, you're just giving your brain and hey, maybe that adds a layer to this. Maybe this all didn't happen. Maybe
time is a hypnotic construct anyway.
Time is a construct, but hypnotic inside the brain? How time is its own thing? I don't know. Anyway, I have a hard time with it. Whatever. Let's go with the story. This was the vehicle. Hypnotizing himself, convincing himself that he was in a different time period.
Yes. And it works.
He goes to do it. Well, let's get into it. First, he tries to do it. He buys an old suit.
Why didn't he go to room 416? Why didn't he ask to change rooms before?
Well, wait, so we're not there yet. So that didn't happen. First, he tries to hypnotize himself. He has a tape recorder over while he's sleeping saying, "You are in 1912. You are whatever." He's trying. He gets very frustrated. This is the best acting he does all film. Reminds me of like when Superman 3 has to fight his evil self.
June 27th, 1912.
So after that, at some point, I forgot how, but he found the hotel guest book from 1912 and he sees his own signature. And then he realizes that he's actually already been there in the past. And this helps, I think, the faith of him getting there. However, he also like decides to not use the tape recorder this time, which is out of its time and would, as Desmond said, probably interfere with the process. But now he's pretty sure it's going to happen. And then
he left it playing, didn't he? He just hit it, or did he turn it off too?
I think he turned it off.
He did. Okay.
This time, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, doesn't use any technology, and now he knows it's going to happen. And this is the most interesting thing in the film is that, oh, I've already done this.
Yeah.
I mean, which clearly, because she gave him the stuff at the beginning. And then he transports to the past. He's sleeping in someone else's bed. Lucky for him, they're not in that bed. They're in the shower.
She's in the shower, and then he comes in and he plays.
That's not her room, is it?
No, but it's a couple in there.
Yeah.
And so they have a hilarious scene of him hiding behind furniture while you notice I'm not actually laughing, people.
What you know what I'll give credit for in this film? What I did like is before he time traveled, not only did he get a suit that he thought was the time period, but he went to an old coin store and got money from that time period.
Yeah.
You never fucking see that in time travel films. That's really smart.
Yeah.
You can't use future money.
Well,
and you would do so much better with the money you have now than with like that time you could buy so much more. Like you'll be okay without a job.
I don't think it was as much to make sure he had money when he got there as it was to
he needs money to get a hotel room
to create the illusion. I think it was more. You're right. In the end, it worked.
Get food?
It worked out. Yeah, I guess you're right. I was thinking more. It was more to complete the illusion, but
this guy was really, this professor says, yeah, you can hypnotize yourself, and he was all in. He's like, great, this works. I'm buying a suit. I'm getting some fucking old money, and I'm gonna do it.
Is this the first version of Slaughterhouse-5?
Slaughterhouse-5 was written before this film.
No.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, was it written before? Well, I know it was written before this film, but it was produced afterwards. I'm just saying, like this is the most basic fucking, like, our audience isn't even going to understand it. Let's tone it down. And then Slaughterhouse-5 was like, okay, we've introduced, like now when we watch time travel movies, like they know you've seen Back to the Future. They know you've seen Endgame.
Yeah.
They know you've seen Groundhog Day. And so they can just get to the point faster, where this movie is like,
right.
We have no reference.
You would think it was such a rarity in this year that this was made that you think it would be a bigger deal that he time traveled, and it's kind of so minimal. He's just like, can you? Yes, you can. Okay. Not like the wow of like, oh my God, I time traveled, because that wasn't that common. Now every movie has to make fun of it because time travel is so commonplace. Everyone's gonna be like, well, it's not like Back to the Future or Groundhog Day. Anyway, you would think it'd be more fantastical. At this point, I think all we might have is like Slaughterhouse-5 and like the original Time Machine. Not a lot of time travel otherwise in films at this point. So he's in his past. He finds the lady. When he first finds her in the woods, interestingly enough, she goes, "Is it you?" Which all of a sudden you're like, wait, how should she know about this at this point? But she seems pretty uninterested. And then he's got to chase her down. She's got a unknown relationship. She's got a producer/manager that is very protective of her. That seems like there's a love interest.
This fucking guy.
He had already researched this in the future of like, he was an oddball. Like he already knew before going to the past that this guy existed.
Well, and I guess it makes sense. Like back then, they kind of like, I think like actresses like Shirley Temple and stuff were just like, I own you. Like,
yeah,
you're part of the studio.
I'm going to make you a star, but you're like a product.
I guess this is a version of that.
Well, so here's what's weird. Okay, so this guy is...
Tell me the weird part, Scott.
This guy is there's a lot that's weird. This guy's the antagonist. He's also the only obstacle. He's the guy that's in the middle of their love. And that's what it's all about. He's courting her. By the way, just the process of getting Christopher Reeve to the past feels like a good 30 to 40 minutes. Like so much of the film has been wasted of him just falling in love with her, wandering around, figuring out... him falling in love with her is like 5 to 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah, they're so entangled.
Their falling in love is like in a day.
Why does she keep saying to her handler, "Is this him?"
Yeah. So that's the weird part.
Do you think there's deleted scenes where that guy is a time traveler?
Yes, absolutely. It's so weird. So she says, "Is this him?"
Yeah.
Later on, he pushes past all these obstacles. Seeing Christopher Reeve as like this woman, I like charming, whatever. Anyway, he gets her to like go on a walk with him. Of course, in like old films, you fall in love in the matter of 3 hours and you're ready to spend your life.
Right.
They go on a walk. She admits at some point that her manager knows things before they're going to happen and warned her that some guy would come along and she'd fall in love, but would like ruin her life. And so, as Desmond's saying, this is all suggesting that this other guy is also a time traveler. By the way, Des, my recorder stopped, so I'm gonna just say that again for a second.
Okay, I got you. I got you on this side too. I can fill it in.
Okay, I'll keep going. This never gets discussed or brought up in any way, except that she says he knew all of these things before they're going to happen. He knew you were going to come, and that this will be bad for me. And that never gets examined any other way. And this guy is probably another time traveler, which is so strange. Like, he wants to time travel back to be her manager, or he also fell in love with her, and they're competing.
So, I'm sorry. Everyone out there, I'm sure Scott is telling you amazing things. I'm not listening to any of it because I have found some fucking research. I'm going down some holes.
Oh, good.
In a TCM interview, Jane Seymour stated, well, what happened is we finished the movie and we weren't allowed to publicize it.
Yeah.
The Screen Actors Guild had a strike, and Chris and I were not allowed to tell anyone about the movie and its time to come out. Plus, Universal spent $2 to $3 million, very minimal, on the movie, and they had a thing called the Blues Brothers. They were very worried about getting their investment back on, so they ignored us completely. So literally they hid the movie, literally hid it. And I remember we got the worst reviews ever. So.
Right. And apparently, if you want to tie in Life Imitating Art, her and Christopher Reeve fell in love during the shoot. But at the end, his ex-girlfriend got pregnant. And so they had to break up.
Oh.
For whatever reason. And so this became a forbidden love, and they were friends all throughout Christopher Reeve's life.
This movie doubled its investment because they didn't put any money into it.
Yeah.
And it was 1980. Like, what else? What are you going to do?
The critics' reviews are interesting. It is generally people did not think this is a great film. What everyone freaks out about is they think the soundtrack is the cat's pajamas, and the soundtrack is like people can't talk highly enough, and it's won awards for John Barry. But the film everyone pretty much hates.
You ready for this, Scott? Did you stumble upon INSITE?
Yep, I did.
Holy shit. I just found this.
What is it? So, friends, there's a secret society of fans of this movie. What does the acronym stand for, Des? Do you see that?
International Network of Somewhere in Time Enthusiasts.
They go to the Grand Hotel yearly and they like dress in old clothes and stuff and they watch the film. I don't know if it's yearly, something like that.
We think that Somewhere in Time is the most romantic love story ever filmed. They're not wrong. Like, if you're into slow romantic
yeah, it's like a sleazeball forbidden love romance trashy novel.
Published an elegant, stimulating journal fleshing out the superlatives about the film and providing a continual forum about it. In addition, we are known for our extraordinary annual event, the Somewhere in Time weekend at the Grand.
Yeah.
I want to go here. I want to go here more than I want. More than I want to go to the Back to the Future town.
Oh man. Wow. Maybe we can do a live recording and do some interviews. I bet you everyone goes to bed that night trying to hypnotize themselves with tape recorders. Anyway, so we'll take the plot further. He just has a walk with her. She's generally resistant. He charms her over. They have a moment where they have one peck kiss. And you would think this woman just got fucking rocked. You would think she just got humped 3 ways to next Tuesday. It's like she had her first kiss.
She shuddered like her G-spot.
Yeah, he touches the side of her cheeks, and she was like, oh my God. No one's ever held my chin. Gives her a peck, and they're just like, she does her play that night. He's in the audience. And she just leaves her, does this monologue about how she's never felt love like this, and stares off in the crowd and stares at him, goes off script. Everyone's like, what the fuck? And then she goes back because this man laid this peck kiss on her that rocked her fucking world. And now they're deeply in love.
Just like that.
And again, this happens so fast. They show a montage, but I think it happened over the course of like 3 hours. I think they just had to walk one day.
He's back in, he's in 1927. What would you say, 3 days?
1912.
1927.
1912, right? Isn't it 1912?
You're right. June 27th, 1912. 3 days?
Yeah, maybe 3 days. And he their falling in love thing is maybe a day or a day and the whole relationship is like 3 days or 2 days.
And he is a playwright. He understands the process of acting, and he is continually taking her away from her responsibilities of this big play. Because this is, it's 1912. There's no movie theaters, so like these traveling theater groups are all the rage, and they're putting on a big show, and everyone's super excited. And the next day, they're going to Denver.
Right.
Is where they're going to be. I thought it was weird that they put on a show. Like and
then they just move on. There's just one night.
Yeah.
It was all rehearsals, one night.
It seems like it would be like a week-long engagement or something like that.
So our antagonist writes a letter during the play and says, we need to talk. It's life or death. And he leaves the play of this woman he loves because he's got to run out to this guy that wants him dead and has to talk with him. And the antagonist is saying it's not about that he's in love with her. It's just, I don't know what his reasons are. He's like just trying to help her along. But then Christopher Reeve goes, cool, I'm going to stand by her side and she'll do all those things. And the guy's like, nope, no way in hell. Which, like, if you're not in love with her, are you or are you not? Because it kind of seems like you are, baby. Anyway, two henchmen come out and give the world's worst punch in the stomach to Christopher Reeve and take him off. I thought they killed him.
Yeah, that was...
Because now the antagonist goes back to her and she's like, what? Where's my guy? And he's like, oh, he left. He's gone forever. And then when she finally talks about how deep in love with she is, the antagonist guy looks actually like he feels guilty. Like, oh shit, she really does love him and I just killed him. Anyway, we find out he's just tied up and in a barn.
Oh my God. I might order some of these INSITE zines.
Uh-oh, he's a new member of INSITE. Anyway, he's tied up in a barn. Through he breaks some glass and gets himself out, as we always do in these films. But it's too late. The acting troupe left for Denver. She doesn't understand. She's crying. She stops by his room before leaving. He gets out. He runs around. She's not in the room. He's sad. He goes and sits on the bench, sad and lonely. But you see in the distance her running up. And she runs up and, they see each other and they love and they kiss. And she didn't go with the group and they make sweet, sweet love. In the Wikipedia, it said they decided to get married and then have sex. They don't say that, do they? I don't remember them.
Oh, come on.
Did they say they were getting married?
No. I mean, obviously they... No,
They talked about doing it eventually.
Yeah, if he hadn't zapped back to now.
Yeah. So she talks about they just had this is like Romeo and Juliet, right? They get the one night together. They had their amazing sex. If that kiss was good, I'm sure that sex really anyway, and she's making fun of his suit because the suit is actually like 12 years too old or something like that.
Yeah, it's more of a turn of the century, not a fresh new 1912 suit.
Yeah. So he goes in the suit. He's in the pocket. He's like, yeah, I mean, what's this? And he's holding a penny and he's looking at it. And it was one 1979 penny. And when he sees it, he freaks out. It's a out of its time, which takes him out of his hypnosis and it makes him go back to the present.
And then we spend another 15 minutes.
Yeah. More time than they spent having a relationship.
Oh my God.
So
first of all, we always talk about what time travel does to you. Like in Back to the Future, you go out hot, you come in cold.
Yeah.
Time traveling is a very sweaty experience in some ways.
You should be like, hey, when you go back in time, put this sweatband on.
Even like, not only did they like, when he came back to the present, like not only did they like spritz his face, we'd be sweating, like the whole back of his suit was soaked through with sweat. Like it was definitely a choice to make it a very sweaty experience.
In the Wikipedia, well, here, first I'll say my first impression was like, okay, just go back in time.
Yeah.
You've done it before.
Yeah.
You can just hypnotize yourself. And it shows him going to bed and he's like, and it's not working and he's getting all frustrated. Motherfucker, you had faith. You knew you could do it the first time. You literally did it. So like, no problem. Just do it again. This is the love of your life.
Whether it takes you 5 minutes or 5 years.
Yeah, you never stop.
Every night, like buy a residency at this hotel.
Yeah.
And just every
You'll
night.
Get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like he tries real hard for like a day, gets flustered, and then gives into despair. Now, when you read the Wikipedia, it says he returns physically exhausted, physically weakened by the time travel. I think in the beginning, the guy had said something like he didn't know if he could do it again. I think they're suggesting once you do it once, you kind of lose these abilities. Like you're jacked up by time travel.
The idea of making it happen, like once you know you can do it, then your brain's just like, meh.
But you would think it would be opposite. You think it would be easier. Like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Totally.
You believe in it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to convince yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're suggesting he was weakened by this experience, and I think that's why he's unable to. And then he desperately wanders the hotel, just stays in his room, gets very pale very quick, and then just sitting there dies. I was like, he was so pale, and he's just sitting there, and they come in, I'm like, oh wait, is he supposed to be dead? Like it was or is he sick? Is he time sick? Is he love sick?
They definitely leave it like he has no reason to live now.
As opposed to really just keep trying.
And her too. So she's 20 in 1912. She dies in 1980. I guess that makes her not. I was thinking that made her like 130 or something. I guess that makes. So she also she lives and they don't talk about it much later, but like when he talks to her housekeeper, like she just sat at that window for 60 years.
She said, right. They said she was a very joyous person, and then something happened in 1912, and then she became kind of a recluse.
Did she keep acting though?
I think they suggested that she didn't. She became like,
yeah.
So, that's tying. You got a little foreshadowing.
Want to listen to more Scott and Des as they discuss more movies? Head on over to patreon.com/soundsawesome, where right now for $3 you can get 10 exclusive episodes and be in prime position for upcoming releases every 2 weeks. That's right, $3 for the whole library, not $3 an episode. $3 gets you two handfuls of episodes right now. Patreon.com/soundsawesome.
But here's the thing. At no point in the past did he say to her, look, I got to let you know, I'm a time traveler. I came back because you gave me this. So we're just assuming that she thought he was dead, somehow read an article one day, saw his face, and then realized he was a time traveler and just took that at face value, found him, and gave him the watch.
Wait, sorry. Oh, yeah.
And we've seen their whole relationship. In the beginning, when she does that, you assume eventually he says, hey, I'm a time traveler. Come find me and give me this. He never gets to that.
No.
She does not know he is a time traveler.
But he does vanish before her eyes.
True. But she never gets it. Somehow.
You know what's weird? You know what should have happened? Unfortunately, he drops it in the present. When he vanishes, that 1979 penny should have stayed there.
Yeah. Or he should have said, come find me as he was leaving. Instead of going,
Like if he vanishes and clank, this metal hits the ground and you pick it up and it says 1979.
That'd be a great moment. Yep.
Yeah.
And again, maybe some shit was edited. Or as you're leaving, just say, come find me.
Yeah.
Something like instead. Anyway, we assume she was a recluse.
I'll be back. Maybe I'll be back.
Yeah, anything. Reassure her. You're about to disappear.
Yeah.
Anyway, our guess, based on the editing of this film, she felt love, had 2 days of it, then it was gone, never tried to find it again, gave up on life, just sat there waiting. One day, saw an article, had the same name, same face, realized it, debated it for a while, then eventually found him and gave him the watch right before she died.
And said, come find me.
Yeah. So she put 2 and 2 together.
And it's 8 years later. Like she gives him the watch.
Oh, yeah.
In 1980.
If I was her, I would come back again and be like, dude, I gave you this watch 5 years ago. You're not going to come find me? Why are you still here?
Oh, she died that night.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
She died that night. Yeah.
So she knew.
And so her reason for existing was...
We haven't finished the film either. He dies. But we need a happy ending, even though it's tragic. So in the afterlife, he's in heaven. She's there. They're together.
That's right.
So they get to hang in the afterlife. It's like Romeo and Juliet with a happy ending. Forbidden love. Forbidden love. So what is this? We rate our films on the time travel science. Is that here?
No.
No. Is the time travel interesting? No. Is it back and forth? No. Do we really question things about time travel in the universe? No. Does the film have a great watchability? No. Is it great comedy? No. Does it do anything with the concept? No. What value does this have for us? It has the grandfather paradox. The grandfather paradox, right? That you go back in time, you give your grandfather a blueprint.
Yeah.
He builds a device. In the future, use this device to time travel to give it to him. It means this is always looped. The watch was his that he gave to her that she gives to him. No one originally owned it. This has been looping for eternity.
It's totally unexplored, but I do like the time travel in this.
Yeah. The only things they do, obviously, we've watched a lot more sophisticated time travel films that need maps. What this one did was show that a woman gave him a watch that he'd already given to her, that her song that she built was one that was his favorite that he does in the past, that he was already been at this hotel. That's the most interesting thing to see. He had already been at the hotel, so it's not linear.
Yeah.
That's all we got to chew on, folks. And it suggested that this other guy is also a time traveler. He knows things about the future. He doesn't want to let me be with this person. He told me this guy was going to come. What else should we believe? He is either a psychic or also did all the same research as Christopher Reeve and also traveled to the past, which would have made this a lot more interesting and strange, a film of two rival guys that fall in love with a woman and travel to the past to manage her or fall in love with her.
Yeah. There must be. Yeah, let me see if it says anything about the book.
What are you looking at, the book?
Yeah, just going to see if it says anything about Robinson being a time traveler. To physics told her she would... Oh, he is unsure what to say to Elise when he finally does... This is the book I'm reading from. Does meet her. But to his surprise, she immediately asks, "Is it you?" She later explains that to physics told her she would meet a mysterious man at that exact time and place. Without telling her where, or rather when, he comes from, he pursues a relationship with her while struggling to adapt himself to the conventions of time. Inexplicably, his daily headaches are gone, and he believes that his memory of having come from the future will ultimately disappear.
But wait, you're saying from physics?
I think that's their way of saying people who study physics.
Yeah.
It's just okay. Main characters in the book: Richard Collier, protagonist and main narrator, Christopher Reeves; Elise McKenna, the woman he falls in love; William Fassett Robinson, Elise's overbearing manager who distrusts Richard; Robert Collier, Richard's brother, who decides to publish Richard's manuscripts. At the end of the book, we find out that Richard died soon after. A doctor claims that the time traveling, so he told the doctor about it, experience occurred only in Richard's mind. The desperate fantasy of a dying man. But Richard's brother, who was chosen to publish the journal, is not completely convinced.
That adds a little layer of complexity, but they wanted this romance to be real.
So yeah, of course, the book, since it was written previously, they use different time frames. So in the books, he goes back to 1896. Weird that it's almost like you need to have read the book. Like, it's almost like a companion piece. Bid Time Return is the name of the book.
Anyway, we heard this film was a classic. I remember someone being there, I love that film, and the trailers had looked poor, and now we see that has accuracy.
Yeah, it's just a tragic. I don't even know if tragic is right, but it's just if you're into romance, if you're into watching two people
forbidden love, yeah,
two people shudder at each other, then then yeah, this is the movie for you. What time? What? Oh, hold on. No. Sorry, I got to do one more thing. Just let's get some. We know there's
the reviews.
The fan club link will be in the notes. Like, this is, and everyone out there, I'm not making fun of you. Like, it's crazy that this exists, but I think this is amazing that you guys are into this. The fact that you have a destination to go to and enjoy this experience is just is super duper cool. And the fact that it's still going on, like, this is decades. This fan club started when they could still like talk to Christopher Reeve, and they had the director like last year. And I may order last year's zine just because they do a top 10 list.
Oh wow.
In there, or some kind of a 10. It just says 10. Yeah,
I mean, I love when any film has that kind of cult following, Lebowski Fest.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go to.
Totally. Since we were low, usually I go low because we're always somewhat high on a show, but since we were so low on this, I'm going to find some high reviews. Exquisite love story. Such a treat. Grossly underrated. See, Christopher Reeve, Christopher Plummer, Jane Seymour are the best. This movie is a treasure. Yes, this movie is a treasure. This movie, 5 stars. This movie haunted me for years. The poignancy really struck a nerve. This was my first time seeing Jane Seymour, and I was struck by how absolutely beautiful she was and still is. It's a lovely story and a really beautiful, touching movie.
How about this? Well, it looks as though Superman is traveling back in time for the sake of love yet again, and he doesn't even have something as stupid as fly around the earth to do it.
Yes. Relax, ... Accept, ... Perhaps I am forgiving this film because I saw it at such an early age and have continued to enjoy it throughout my life. But to me, it has always remained the pinnacle of what a love story should be. Christopher Reeve said before his passing, this was his favorite movie he had ever worked on because of its timeless beauty and simplicity. This movie did win several awards in different
Best score, probably.
a score, yes, but costumes. So,
Can I read a bad one?
yes.
I expected to enjoy this film quite a bit. Along with When Harry Met Sally, which I highly enjoyed, this ranks up with my dad's favorite movies. My expectations ran right into a solid, hard brick wall. John Barry's fine score is the only shining point in this remarkably bad film. Christopher Reeve can't play a believable quarter to save his life. The screenplay muddles everything from romance to time travel, and the result is an absurd film that takes itself far too seriously. As the film progressed, I was nearing the point of physically injuring myself. Seriously, this is about as perfect example as there is of bad filmmaking. There's 2 bads.
And it was, I mean, thank God the score was good because there's so much silent eye gazing in it.
Yeah.
We aren't meant to focus on how brief his love affair with Jane Seymour is or how far-fetched time travel via mental hypnosis seems to be.
No, it's brief.
Theirs was a love written in fate, transcending time and logic. What are you giving it, Scott? What time is it?
Are you looking at the chart or no?
I'm not. We're not going to talk. We're going to talk about the chart in a minute, but you're going to.
Okay, I was curious what the lowest score we've given so far is.
We're going to talk about it very, very shortly.
I was curious what the lowest score. I don't want to be mean.
I mean, this has got to be the lowest. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you what that is.
I think I might have done a 4 o'clock, haven't I? Because if that's the case, I think I got to do 3:30. I think it's 3:30, which is the lowest I have done for sure.
Yeah.
Des is thinking carefully.
I know. I almost want to give it, but it's like I said, I think there was something here that could have been explored that absolutely wasn't. 2:45.
I felt bad about my 3:30
because I will never watch this again. I take that back.
You'll watch it when you go to the Grand Hotel for the festival.
Exactly. And it will be an amazing experience, and I will probably actually enjoy that experience. Okay, Scott, we're going to play a little game called Recency Bias.
Okay.
Are you ready to play Recency Bias?
Yeah.
Where is it here? Here is Scott's most we've done top 10, we've done top 20. So this is not a definitive top 10 list. But this is, since we've been rating our films, here is Scott's top 10.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Starting at the bottom.
How many films is this out of?
10.
Oh, it's we've done 10 films. It's the order.
Yeah. We've missed 1 or 2. We've missed rating 1 or 2.
Okay.
So of the movies that we've rated in the last 5 months, here's your top 10. Number 1. Oh, no. Number 10, Manadu. Number 9.
It was lower?
It's the lowest.
Wait, what's Manadu?
Oh, is this shit. Sorry. I need to check something real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manadu should not be lower than this film.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. Well, no, I'm not talking about this movie. This movie is the lowest.
Okay.
This movie, this is the lowest.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Manadu.
Number 10.
Number 10. Number 9, In the Shadow of the Moon.
Yep.
Number 8, 57 Seconds. Number 7, Totally Killer. Number 6, Twilight Zone Replay. Number 5, South Park Goobacks. Number 4, American Dad. Number 3, tied. He has a 2-way tie. We might have to figure this out. Loki and Groundhog Day are both 9 o'clock. With bodies coming in at
I'll put Loki above there.
With Bodies coming in at number 1.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
I'm sad that Totally Killer is as low as it is, but it makes sense with what's above it.
Yeah. It's like maybe it's rated a little bit lower, but it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Because Totally Killer was fun.
Yeah. Would you still put Totally Killer below South Park?
The South Park was pretty funny. There's some good stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And American Dad also, surprisingly. And Bodies had more going on. Loki had more going on. Groundhog Day. So this all makes sense.
So mine's a little bit different.
Okay.
So I don't know why that's messed up. Manadu.
Yep.
Number 10, 57 seconds. So In the Shadow of the Moon and 57 seconds are switched for us. So I'm Manadu, 57 seconds, In the Shadow of the Moon, Totally Killer, South Park Goobacks, Twilight Zone Replay, American Dad, Bodies, Loki, Groundhog Day.
Okay. I agree that Loki should be higher for me. 57 seconds, was that my 9 or was that my 8?
8.
No, it probably should be my 9.
We'll get into this later. We're gonna figure out. We got to start ratings. Getting our rating system into some of our older movies, and we're gonna really fuck this up. And then we'll see if our ratings top 10 resembles our actual top 10.
Well, then we have to apply, right? We have to apply all of our films to this rating system,
right?
Even in retrospect, yeah.
Which we need to figure. I don't know how we're gonna do that. I still want to It'll require a little bit more watching, but we don't have to do a full hour.
Yeah.
But I think we should figure out how we're gonna, because I really want to rewatch a lot of these movies.
Mm.
Like there might be a couple, that I want to skip past. But like especially like our first season, like because of course we tried to come out of the gate hot, and so there's a lot there that I need to revisit and see if they still hold up after 100 time travel movies.
Yeah. That could be the new Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Is the rewatch.
No, we can't make people pay for rewatch.
Yeah.
We can't.
Fair.
Can't do that. Thank you for listening to Time Pop. Please like, subscribe, and tell a friend about Time Pop. And please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/soundsawesome. That's patreon.com/soundsawesome. For $3 a month, you will receive an exclusive podcast every 2 weeks. Thank you for your support. Enjoy the content. If you would like to continue to support Time Pop for free, we just ask again that you like, subscribe, and tell a friend about Time Pop. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at time_pop_pod. At timepoppod. Please send us your movie recommendations to timepoppod@gmail.com. That is timepoppod@gmail.com. Any questions or comments from this or any other episode to timepoppod@gmail.com. Looking for another great podcast to listen to while you wait for the next episode of Time Pop? Head on over to whatsoundsawesome.com and check out our great podcast lineup. We have Comedy Spirituality, The Wheel of Time, Fitness and Nutrition, and Movies Are Us. That's right. Movies Are Us is coming to the Sounds Awesome Network, where we will be discussing, you guessed it, movies based on all the great stuff you used to be able to buy at the beautiful brick and mortar Toys R Us. If it's a game, if it's a board game, if it's a video game, if it's a toy, and they made a movie about it, we're going to discuss it. Stay tuned for Movies Are Us. Found at whatsoundsawesome.com, along with all the answers, truth not trends, thank the light, be brave, and that fitness couple. You can find them at whatsoundsawesome.com or wherever you find fine free podcasts.
So would you time travel in the past for love?
Oh yeah. Thank you, Scott. I guess if I was convinced, that's one thing that I think this movie kind of like dabbles in, but it doesn't actually talk about, is that these characters are entwined. Like they know they're supposed to be together.
Yeah.
And they're willing to travel through time and space to get there. If I just saw some cute woman in an old hotel on a picture, would I obsess over until I got back there? Probably not. The problem is I can't I'm not going to be able to go back in time very far because I can't take everything out of my room that didn't exist pre-2000s. But I'm definitely going to work on this time travel. I'm gonna see if I can go back a couple days. Like, I'm all about hypnotism and mind over matter and
Maybe some psychedelics would help.
deja. Oh fuck, they absolutely would. Holy shit. I remember one of my biggest deja vus ever was I took a nap one day. I was probably 20. No, I guess I was probably 17. Jesus Christ, I was 17. People out there, don't do drugs when you're a teenager. I took a nap and I just remember it being fucked up. Like, I kind of had a few memories of it, but I just woke up exhausted and was just like, wow, that made no sense. That was weird. And I rarely took naps. That night I took acid and it all came flooding back to me. It was just like I totally had a precog dream. And even like as it was happening, I was just like, oh, this is totally what I was dreaming about. This is why it seemed so weird in my dream, because I didn't realize I was on acid watching Alice in Wonderland.
Wow.
Now it all makes sense. So
He's done it.
yep, I've precogged. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it sober. Otherwise, I'll fry my brain taking all that acid trying to time travel. How about you, Scott? You going to do any meditating? You going to meditate yourself back in time?
Yeah, I mean, I just gotta get back from my kids, But yes, if I was solo and unattached, forbidden for love, and I guess I'd go for it. Although read the fine print about coming back too sick to do it again.
Yeah. Well, and that's when like you just kind of go back in time just go back a little bit. Just be like, you know what? I go back to the premiere of Back to the Future in the theater. Something that won't melt your brain.
Yeah.
If things don't go perfectly, or if your lover's manager punches you in the stomach.
Well, I'm glad that this episode did not get released for Valentine's, because we would have just been seeming like we're just shivving love right in the gut.
Down with love. Well, hopefully, hey, everyone out there, if you stumbled upon this, because I imagine if you're part of INSITE, you have a Google alert for Somewhere in Time. Write us, tell us. We're sorry we pooped on your movie a little bit. We understand it has a place in film. That place just might not be in the greatest time travel lore ever told.
Fair.
I mean, it's no Marty McFly going back and kissing his mom.
Just questionable.
Yeah, this definitely is like, I'm just gonna say it again. Sorry, we'll get done in a second. I'm just starting to repeat myself. Like, yeah, they're you can see them almost wanting to take some real stabs at some crazy time travel stuff, but just knowing that A, this isn't the movie for it. This is a love story. Let's rein it in. And B, we can't make this a 2.5 hour movie trying to explain how time loops work. we gotta wait.
Clearly.
Like, if you remake this movie now, yeah, like the manager is a time traveler. Christopher Reeve, Richard Collier comes and goes a couple times.
He's losing his mind. He's forgetting his consciousness, who he is, or yeah.
Does he run into himself if he goes back to the exact same time? Are both of them there? Or
right? How do you control when you get back?
Does he have to make sure and always go back to a time when he wasn't there? There's some cool stuff to dive into.
Yeah.
Until next time, I'm Desmond McNeese.
And I'm Scott Lifton. See you in the future. Unless you're listening to it, we already did it, in which case it's the past.
I will see you on Mackinac Island.
Mackinac.
In Detroit, Mackinac Island. I'll be there.
Yeah, you will.
Oh my gosh, these people are all dressed up. It's so gorgeous. I would go in an 1896 suit. I would go in a time appropriate but out of fashion.
Right. Like he did.
Exactly.
Come back to me.
Richard Collier is about to begin an incredible journey into another realm, another lifetime, in search of the love he could never find in this one.
Richard!
A haunting story of the link between a man and a woman. A link that goes beyond fantasy, beyond time itself. Universal Pictures is proud to present Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour, Christopher Plummer, Somewhere in Time. Someday, in the past, he will find her.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.